Hey guys, it's Jonah here and I'm back with Supermarket Sunday this week, and this is part one of a two-part thing. I thought it would be quite good because I've been at the Marks and Spencer's, and part one is going to be their white IPA, and next week is going to be their black IPA. That's my very loose link. They're by different brewers. This one's by Adnams over in the Southwold. 5.5% on the ABV. I quite like that. That's quite retro. There is a little neckerchief which says something about Adnams, and unbranded cap, which is fine. I do like the branded caps, but this one's fine. It's going for the minimalist kind of thing. There is a London brewery called The Colonel, and they do something very similar. It's very, very minimalist. Anyway, this one comes from the Marks and Spencer's, and as such, it has some stuff on the back. It says this beer combines the pine and citrus flavours of an American IPA with the bright orange notes of a Belgian wit beer, and it says perfect citrus aromas and flavours. Could be with Asian-styled spicy broth, or work well with lime cheesecake. Don't know how you guys feel about mixing your beer, mixing your beer with food, but it is Supermarket Sunday, so it's good to see that the supermarket, in this case M&S, has got kind of quite involved in the spirit of it. Unclejona says thumbs up to that. M&S, a little bit expensive, but these were on offer. And yeah, I can't remember exactly how much they were. It's a 33. I think it was 150, something like that. So 33, so it's a small bottle. 5.5% though, pretty good. The other one, 6.5, but we'll talk about that one next week. Right, let's get in there. Oh, not so much of a hiss. Oh, interesting note. I'm definitely getting that kind of orange. I assume that's coming from the hops, but you never know. Oh, definitely a pale ale. I did do, or try and do, some research on this beer, but they weren't giving much away, to be honest. It definitely doesn't. Let's give it a tap. Definitely doesn't look like, you can see me through there, it's perfectly clear. So it's not a Vit beer or a Weiss beer with regards to keeping the yeast, the live yeast in there. However, maybe they've used the Belgian yeast in there, don't know. Colours, not quite a lager colour, it's definitely a kind of ambery pale. Yeah, not much, about half a finger on the head, and the bubbles are quite large. You see those big bubbles, so I suspect they're not going to hang around that much. Ooh, I'm definitely getting that orange thing. It's more like a kind of tangerine marmalade kind of nose. Not getting too much. Maybe a little bit of tropical fruit lychee. One of the reviewers that I read online said that he thought the hops used in here were Sriracha Ace, which M&S have used in a previous incarnation of one of their beers. Have a look in my back catalogue. If you haven't subscribed, why not? Subscribe now and have a look in the back catalogue for that Sriracha Ace beer. Let's dive in. Ooh, definitely well carbonated. Getting that marmalade again. Really orangery, tangerine. It's kind of like a zesty skin though, not like the fruit itself. It's that kind of, if you get an orange or a tangerine and rub your thumbnail over it to get the oils released, and then you smell that. It's kind of very similar to that, not when you squeeze the fruit itself. yeah, a bit of a sort of earthy connection, maybe even a touch of pine in there. The bitterness isn't very bitter, considering this is supposed to be an IPA. I'd be quite interested to see what the IBU's on there, because it's not super bitter. Mouthfeel is a little bit watery. I guess that's quite synonymous with the kind of malts that you use in IPAs. Although I notice a lot of people have been sort of putting in lager malts and weird things like that in. A lot of pale malt, probably a bit of crystal in there. There's a tiny little bit of a kind of that kind of tinny kind of metallic-y taste. Perhaps they've bulked it out a little bit with some sort of sugar or caramel in there. Adnams are usually quite good though. I do quite like Adnams, but this one almost to me is all about the kind of the aroma. Not so much about the bitterness, definitely not about, you know, expressing any major hops like American IPAs usually are. So I think this is probably maybe a mixture of hops, but the bitterness and the upfront taste really do meld together very well. Quite well carbonated. Oh, that nose is very interesting though. Nice one. M&S, this is a very interesting beer at 5.5%. Considering it's only in a small bottle, you're not going to get into too much trouble. Have a few of these in a barbecue, perhaps later on in the year, you might get in trouble. However, sinking one of these, or maybe even a couple, it's not going to have an impact on your day, I don't think. Look at that bottle again, I think that's quite nice. So, well done Adnams, well done for teaming up with Marks and Spencer's. There are some other Adnams beers that Marks and Spencer's are doing at the moment, so you never know, we'll get around to that one eventually, or those ones I should say. Guys, it's been Unclejona here, rubbing his nose and getting those bubbles out of his beard. Hope you have a very good weekend. We'll see you with part 2 next weekend, and we'll be looking at the darker of the IPAs. Until then, cheers and beers, and we'll see you real soon. Ooh, orangery.